back to the Man Cave. We got another edition of Virtual Math for you. Before I start, I got a couple things going on right now. They're cutting the grass outside. There's a chance that you hear Masha the bear in the background. And I got Charlie back here behind me. You can't see him, but he's probably going to make an appearance at some point. So there is I'd put it at about a 75% chance that this thing goes off the rails. He's either going to yell at me or he's going to storm out of the room and cause a scene. We're going to find out, or he's going to be the perfect little angel that he always is. Got my jersey on. Shout out to the Hoosiers. I'm not running out of jerseys, different jersey every day. And sports technically is back. ESPN is playing Korean baseball at like 1 in the morning. So I could stop, but I won't. So hopefully you guys had a good score on your Fantastic Five yesterday. Like I said, I'm filming these a little bit later than I normally would, so I've been able to already see some of the scores that have come in. And it's pretty consistent with where they are. A lot of people in my class actually stayed the same. There wasn't a whole lot of improvement, which is not the worst thing in the world. It's a lot better than going down. But you'd like to see at least some improvement on at least one question, but if not, it's not that big a deal. No Excuse Wednesday tomorrow, or technically today. So hopefully these 5 questions will help you. And whatever you got yesterday, let's try and get moving in the right direction for today. So I'm actually using one of my students' Fan 5s, but I've got her name hidden, but she got a 5, so it doesn't matter. But we'll go ahead and get started here with number 1. All right, it says Robert has finished 98/100ths of his bottle of hot sauce, while Zay has finished 6/10ths of his bottle. How much more hot sauce has Robert consumed than Zay? So different today, because I think yesterday we added, but when you see those words, how much more, you've got to know that you're going to subtract. What did you do, bro? You want to watch your show, or you just want to lay there? You just going to lay? Sweet. All right, that took 10 seconds before he barged in here. All right, so I knew Robert had 98/100ths, and Zay had 6/10ths. We already decided, since it said how much more, we're going to subtract. Like this one right here, I can tell if you watch the video. Because if you just did 98 minus 6 and got 92, that would show me that you didn't look at the denominators. Guys, you can't do this subtraction unless your denominators are the same. You can't do hundredths minus tenths. Now, yesterday you had options. Today you don't. Because if you're looking at 98/100ths, I can't change that to tenths. I could take a 0 away from 100, but I can't take a 0 from 98. It doesn't have one. So my only option here is I got to take my tenths and change it to hundredths. So I'd add some zeros, because whatever I do to the top, I'm going to do to the bottom. Then I can subtract. Denominator is going to stay the same. That's been pretty common in every bit of fractions that we've done this school year. But your numerator is where you're going to do the work. Yes, baby. Do you want me to put it on? All right, bring me the remote. So if you did 98 minus 60, that would leave you with 38. And I think yesterday the answer maybe wasn't on there. But if I go and look at our answer choices, 38/100ths was an answer choice, and that would have been D. I'm not editing this out. So give me 35 seconds while I put this show on. What are we watching? Masha?
This.
You've never watched that before.
I want to watch it.
Arctic Dogs? I'm more of a PJ Masks guy, but all right, you good? Sweet. All right, so we got D, 38/100ths for the answer, and we are moving on. All right, number 2, a spaghetti noodle is 3/4 of a foot long. If there are 15 noodles in the pot, what is the total length of the noodles combined? You got a couple words there that are going to tell you that you need to do some addition there. We're not just adding 15 and 3/4 though, because you've got 15 individual noodles that are all 3/4 of a foot long. So 3/4, 3/4, 3/4, 3/4. You could do addition. Repeated addition is going to be the move for us.
Sorry, Dad.
You're good, baby. All right, so we've got 3/4 times 15. And again, the way I showed you yesterday. Yes, baby. Yes, yeah. 3/4 times 15. The only numbers you're really working with are the numerator and the whole number. Your denominator is going to stay the same. So really, I'm looking at 15 times 3 here. Now, you may not know that off the top of your head, but you could very quickly somewhere else on your paper do 15 times 3, and you would get 45. Now, 45/4 is not an answer choice. Mental checklist would tell you, I know that that's an improper fraction. I've got to convert that to a mixed number. Fraction bar means divided by. So really, I'm looking at this as 45 divided by 4. If you know your multiplication, 4 times something gets you pretty close. How many whole times can it go in? It would go in 11 whole times because 4 times 11 is 44. If I got to 44, but my end goal was 45, whatever my remainder is becomes my numerator. 44 got me pretty close. That would make my new numerator a 1. And once again, that denominator doesn't change. So once I do that little bit of extra work, I look at my answer choices. It's C would show you 11 1/4. There's a great possibility that sometime during this week, you're going to have to simplify your final answer. So again, don't panic. You might have to go through the mental checklist twice. Just keep that in mind as the weeks go on. It could be today. All right, number 3, this one was the most missed question on Monday, but it's the one that I saw the most growth in on Tuesday because really it just came down to reading. I wasn't worried about the math here, but this one's going to kind of be bumpy because the way it's worded, it's going to change every day, even though this one's kind of similar the past couple of days. It says, McKinley, Amani, and Tristan are completing their virtual homework. McKinley has completed 1/4 of her assignments, Amani has completed 2/3, and Tristan has completed 1/2. Who has the most work left to complete? So again, not who did the most, who's got the most left. So I'm going to do my table. I'm going to draw a very similar picture that I drew yesterday with McKinley, Amani, and Tristan. I'm using actual students' names because yesterday in the video I couldn't remember what their names were. So I knew McKinley completed 1/4, but that means she has 3/4 left. All right. I know Amani completed 2/3, which means she has 1/3 left. And Tristan is actually going to stay the same because he completed half, which means he has half left. So these are the fractions that actually represent what we're asking. Who's got the most left to work? Now he's got to cross multiply. He's got to compare them. So I'll just start with ladies first, McKinley and Amani. 4 times 1 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. When you're comparing those fractions, McKinley has more left to complete, which would eliminate Amani. And I'm going to just go kind of across the board here. 4 times 1 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. Once again, comparing those fractions, you can see that McKinley has the most left to complete, which would give you the answer of C. You may come across a question this week where 2 people have a fraction that represents the same amount, which might give you an answer like D. So just not saying it's going to happen, but it is a possibility. I didn't use a fake name this time, but you might see that. So that one's number 3. Again, I'm not worried about the math on that. People who miss that are just going to miss it because they read it wrong. All right, number 4 was a little bit different today because I kind of threw a wrench in this one. It says, which choice below is not equivalent to 3/10? Now, the way I showed you yesterday, I'm still going to show you today. You would think doing this virtual math for however many weeks I've done it, I'd have these buttons down. I do not. All right, so 3/10, and my answer choices were 30, 100. Yes, baby. I can turn it up just a little bit. Is that good? All right.
What are you doing?
I'm filming my videos.
Oh.
30 hundredths, 12 40ths, 3 hundredths. All right, so what I showed you yesterday was when I have a fraction in tenths or hundredths, I know immediately I can write it a few different ways. I can show it as a fraction with 30 hundredths, and I could show that as 2 other decimals as well, 3/10 and 30 hundredths. So I can still use that technique or use that strategy to eliminate answers, because if I look at A, 30 hundredths, I see that here and here. So I'm looking for something not equivalent. Same deal with B, 30 hundredths and 30 hundredths. Now, 3/10 was another way to show it, but that's not an answer choice. So now I just got to figure out if 3/10 is equivalent to one of those. Now, you should be able to look at D and know 3/10 is a lot different than 3 hundredths, but the fraction is a different choice. So you can kind of take 3/10 and do something similar that we just did. You can cross multiply. You can go 10 times 12, which that one we should know is 120. If you did 40 times 3, you could stack them and multiply. That would give you 120 as well. So even though they got different denominators, they look a little bit different. Those fractions are equivalent, which would eliminate that answer, which would give you 3 hundredths as the choice that's not equivalent. So going forward, you might not just be able to do it, write it 3 different ways and pick your answer. You might have to do a little bit of cross multiplying, but it's not a bad thing that we have to review that. But that one would have given us, I think it was C maybe. I don't know. No, D. 3 hundredths was D, so that would have been our answer. All right, I told you yesterday's video. I love number 5. Takes some work. This is not one you're going to do in your head. If you're doing it in your head, you're just being lazy, and that's just a fact. It says there are 45 people competing in a hot dog eating contest. They will each have a plate with 6 hot dogs. Packs of hot dogs will hold 9 inside. If they buy 24 packs of hot dogs, how many hot dogs short will they be? Hey, baby. So we're going to read a little. We're going to do a little, just like we did yesterday, strategy we like to do. If I know there's 45 people that are going to have 6 hot dogs apiece, I can see the Nathan's hot dog eating contest in my brain. They got that huge long table. They got a bunch of dudes behind the table, and they got a mound of hot dogs in front of them. 6 here, 6 here, 6 here, 6 here. We're going to do that repeated addition. We're going to multiply 45 times 6. So starting in the ones place, 6 times 5 is 30. 0 stays. 3 goes. 6 times 4 is 27. Plus 3 is 30. No, I'm sorry. 6 times 4 is 24. Plus 3 is 27. I got ahead of myself. That number right there represents how many hot dogs they're going to need. If you got 45 people who are each going to get 6, they need 270 hot dogs. All right, and then it says they buy 24 packs of hot dogs, and there's 9 hot dogs in each. Again, you go to Food Line, you look at the pack of hot dogs. 9 in that one, 9 in that one, 9 in that one. Well, if they've got 24 packs with 9 in each, this will show me how many hot dogs they bought. So 9 times 4 gives me 36. 6 stays, 3 goes. 9 times 2 gives me 18, plus 3 gives me 21. That represents the amount of hot dogs they bought. We can clearly see to have this competition, we don't have enough hot dogs. That's why the question asked, how many hot dogs short are they going to be? Meaning, how many more hot dogs are they going to have to go back and buy? Go ahead, babe. So when we subtract these in the ones place, 0 minus 6, there's more on the floor. Got to go next door and get 10 more. So this 7 is now a 6. And this 0 here becomes a 10. Now I can roll through. 10 minus 6 gives me 4. 6 minus 1 gives me 5. 2 minus 2 would give me 0. You can bring it down if you want to, or you can just cancel it out. And that would give me an answer of D, 54 hot dogs. So again, guys, there's a lot of work involved in that one. The only people who get that one right are going to be the people who earned it. Nobody's getting, well, I don't want to say you're not getting lucky on that one. You could certainly get lucky on it. You got a 25% chance. But not doing any work on that one, it would be really, really hard to get that one correct. All right, we made it through. So you're about to go and knock out your third Fan 5 of the week. No excuse Wednesday, guys. Let's try to get those numbers up to at least a 3. And look, if you're not at a 3 and you're at a 2 and you went up, that's great too. So just make sure you're moving in the right direction. Keep utilizing these videos, guys. The more you watch them, the more you practice, the better off you'll be. And as I always say, by the time we get to Friday, you'll be in really good shape. So thank you guys for watching. Good luck. Do your best. See you tomorrow.